in the headlines of this hour on VTV News. Vietnam and France established comprehensive strategic partnership. And Vietnamese Prime Minister meets with top leader of Laos ahead of ASEAN summits. In our world news, Gazans yearn for a return to normality.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good morning. It is 8 a.m. local time in Hanoi, and you're watching VTV News. I'm Huyen Chen with the top stories. Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm and French President Emmanuel Macron announced the upgrade of relations between the two countries to a comprehensive strategic partnership during their talks in Paris on Monday, making France the first country in the European Union to establish this partnership with Vietnam.
Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm and French President Emmanuel Macron affirmed the upgrade of relations between the two countries aligns with major directions and measures to deepen the partnership and enhance its practicality, fitting the new context of Vietnam-France cooperation. The two leaders vowed to effectively implement existing cooperation agreements, soon hold the Vietnam-France Defense Strategy and Cooperation Dialogue, assist in the training of officers, share experiences in crime prevention and control, and support each other at global and regional security forums. On economic and trade matters, they pledged to continue promoting concessional loans and official development assistance for Vietnam and encouraging businesses to fully realize the benefits of the EU-Vietnam Free Trade Agreement. The Vietnamese top leader urged France to expedite the ratification of the EU-Vietnam Investment Protection Agreement and sought France's support in advocating for the European Commission to lift the yellow card warning against Vietnamese seafood exports. President Macron confirmed his commitment to recommending EVP ratification to the French Parliament promptly. Both leaders agreed to strengthen joint work in areas of potential synergy and French expertise, including infrastructure, aerospace, sci-tech, and renewable and hydrogen energy. President Macron welcomed Vietnam's efforts in responding to climate change.
During their meeting, Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm and French President Emmanuel Macron observed the signing of an educational cooperation agreement between the Vietnamese and French governments. The agreement was signed by the leaders of the Ministry of Education and Training and the French Minister of National Education. Additionally, Vietjet Air Joint Stock Company, Safran Group, and CFM International signed a contract for the supply of engines and maintenance services for 200 narrow-body aircraft. This is aimed at optimizing operating costs for fuel-efficient operations. Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm met with President of the French Senate, Gerard Larcher, in Paris on Monday as part of his official visit to France. The top leader expressed his satisfaction with the upgrade of Vietnam and France ties to a comprehensive strategic partnership, reflecting strong political will and the hopes of both nations' people. The president of the Senate noted that French senators have enduring affection for Vietnam and wish to enhance bilateral relations. He agreed with the Vietnamese top leaders' proposals for a closer cooperation between legislative bodies and support at regional and international forums. The Vietnamese leader urged the French Parliament to ratify the Vietnam-EU Investment Protection Agreement and to assist in lifting the yellow card on Vietnamese seafood. He also sought support for Vietnam's climate change adaptation efforts, particularly in technology, training, and policy development for energy transitioning. Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm on Monday paid an official visit to UNESCO headquarters in Paris and held a discussion with its Director General, Audrey Azoulay. The Vietnamese top leader expressed appreciation for UNESCO's significant contributions to maintaining global peace and security, as well as promoting a sustainable development through multilateral cooperation in education, culture, science, information, and communication. He also extended gratitude to UNESCO for its support in preserving and promoting the heritage value of the Thăng Long Imperial Citadel and for its assistance with nomination dossiers. In response, the UNESCO's Director General affirmed that Vietnam is one of UNESCO's most active members and emphasized her commitment to supporting Vietnam in the registration and sustainable preservation of World Heritage Sites, the promotion of heritage values, and the development of cultural industries. Vietnam and France have issued a joint statement on the upgrade of its bilateral relationship to a comprehensive strategic partnership on the occasion of Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm official visit to France. Both sides committed to bolstering bilateral ties on the back of mutual respect for international law, equality, sovereignty, independence, territorial integrity, and political systems. They pledged to maintain high-level exchanges and interactions through all channels between the French administration and the Communist Party, government, National Assembly, and local authorities of Vietnam. They reaffirmed their commitment to the UN Charter, particularly the promotion and protection of human rights and fundamental freedom. Both nations also vowed to increase consultation and coordination at regional forums. The joint statement underlines the commitment to maintaining peace, security, and stability in the East Sea, and to fully respecting the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UN clause. Vietnamese Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính had a meeting with General Secretary of the Lao People's Revolutionary Party Central Committee and President of Laos, Thongloun Sisoulith, in Vientiane on October 8th, during which he congratulated Laos, chair of ASEAN in 2024, on the successful organization of the bloc's important events. The Vietnamese leader expressed his belief that with its thorough and professional preparation, along with experiences gained during its ASEAN chairmanship in 2004 and 2016, Laos will successfully host the ASEAN Summit and the 45th General Assembly of the ASEAN Inter-Parliamentary Assembly, or APA, thereby practically contributing to stable and sustainable development, along with growth in the region and promoting its role and position in the international arena. The host leader appreciated Vietnam's valuable material and spiritual assistance to Laos to address flood consequences. Both hosts and guests held that in the coming time, the two sides should focus on effectively implementing the two countries' cooperation treaties and agreements. The two countries will maintain a frequent experience and information exchanges while keeping close coordination and mutual support at international and regional forums, especially ASEAN, the United Nations, and sub-regional mechanisms. Vietnam attaches importance to and prioritizes its great relationship, special solidarity, and comprehensive cooperation with Laos. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính told his Lao counterpart Son Se Siphadan during their meeting in Vientiane on October 8th. He expressed joy at the positive developments of Vietnam and Laos ties in recent times on the back of a high level of political trust, effective cooperation in the fields of economy, trade, defense, security, culture, and tourism, as well as locality-to-locality cooperation. Lao Prime Minister Siphadan, for his part, thanked Vietnam for its heartfelt support and strong assistance to Laos in its historical struggle for national liberation, as well as in its current development efforts. He affirmed that the Lao government would closely coordinate with the Vietnamese government to effectively and timely implement projects by Vietnamese businesses investing in Laos. The two prime ministers agreed to closely coordinate and effectively implement the high-level agreements between the two countries, including the outcomes of the recent meeting between the two Politburos of Vietnam and Laos. Vietnamese Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính had a meeting with Chairman of the Lao National Assembly, Say Somphone Phomvihanh, in Vientiane on October 8th, as part of his trip to attend the 44th and 45th ASEAN summits in the neighboring country. Both leaders affirm that they always attach importance and give the top priority to the enhancement of the great friendship, special solidarity, and comprehensive cooperation between Vietnam and Laos, considering this as priceless and vital for the revolutionary cause in the two countries. Prime Minister Phie asked the two countries' national assemblies to create favorable legal frameworks for strengthening comprehensive connectivity, particularly in the spheres of regulations, energy, transport, trade, investment, and agriculture. At the meeting, Chairman Se Son-Phon expressed his hope for stronger relations between the two national assemblies, including in joint supervisory activities to help effectively carry out the key projects and high-level agreements. In the face of complicated developments in the world and the region, the two leaders affirmed that their countries will continue nurturing the great friendship, special solidarity, and comprehensive cooperation while developing economic collaboration. Prime Minister Phie on October 8th attended and delivered an important speech at the ASEAN Business and Investment Summit as part of his attendance to the 44th and 45th ASEAN summits in Vietnam-Laos.
Prime Minister Phie urged enterprises and business people to make more contributions so that ASEAN countries can continue to promote their solidarity, self-reliance, and self-resilience, and their governments can achieve their set targets. Sharing the fundamental factors of development and important achievements of Vietnam, he stated that Vietnam protects, builds, and develops the country based on three pillars: building socialist democracy, building a socialist rule of law state, and developing a socialist-oriented market economy. Thanking foreign businesses and investors for investing in Vietnam, including those from ASEAN, Prime Minister Phie affirmed that Vietnam always creates the most favorable conditions for them to fully develop their capabilities and creativity and optimize Vietnam's potential and competitive advantages. ASEAN BICE is the largest annual business-related forum in Southeast Asia, organized by the ASEAN Business Advisory Council, ASEAN-BAC, within the framework of the ASEAN Summit. Themed Enhancing Connectivity and Economic Resilience, ASEAN BICE 2024 is held from October 8th to the 11th in Vientiane, attracting more than 800 business leaders from ASEAN and the world.
Now, under the chairmanship of National Assembly Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn, the National Assembly Standing Committee met on Tuesday for the second review of the draft law on teachers. The committee noted significant revisions to the draft law, including the removal of 26 articles, and deemed it ready for submission at the 8th session of the National Assembly. All deputies agreed that teachers' salaries should receive top priority within the public sector's salary framework. The committee recommended further research to ensure alignment with the amended social insurance law, particularly allowing preschool educators to retire 5 years earlier and still receive full benefits. The Standing Committee emphasized the need to clearly define the scope and target beneficiaries of support policies, and to thoroughly assess the impact of incentives aimed at attracting and retaining teachers, especially the policy of tuition fee waivers for teachers' children. Coming up next on VTV News. Promotion of Vietnam-China Intertransport Railway construction. And at Liberation Day, Hanoians proud to be a part of history. Welcome back to VTV News. Now, the demand for rail transportation of goods between Vietnam and China is extensive and varied. While the volume of transport has been rising, the efficiency of the intertransport train between the two countries has remained limited since 2017. This is primarily due to inadequate and incomplete infrastructure, which poses significant barriers to rail trade at present.
Transporting goods from Nanning Station in China to Yen Vien Station in Vietnam takes just 14 hours, only 1/3 of the time required for road or sea transport. However, after nearly 6 years of operation, the Hanoi-Dong Dung Nanning intermodal route is limited to just 3 trips per week due to deteriorating infrastructure.
The interconnection between routes from Kunming to Haiphong poses significant challenges. This affects the operations of all parties involved.
Since the start of the year, international freight has shown positive growth compared to the same period last year.
By 2050, in addition to upgrading the existing railway line for transporting traditional goods like ore and apatite, there will also need to be a new railway line to accommodate approximately 15 million passengers and 18 million tons of cargo annually. Early investment in this new railway line is essential.
Vietnam's railway network plan for 2021-2030, with a vision extending to 2050, identifies the Lao Cai-Hanoi-Haiphong route as a key intermodal railway line. This Trans-Asian railway will enhance Vietnam's connections with Central Asia and Europe, while also linking China with ASEAN through Vietnam.
We are currently collaborating with domestic consultants and the Chinese Railway Bureau to prepare a pre-feasibility report for the Lao Cai-Hanoi-Haiphong railway project. In this report, we will assess various options based on actual needs to propose the most effective investment strategies that ensure the railway's success.
According to the assessment data, the establishment and operation of intermodal railway routes will help Vietnam and China lower logistics costs, reduce prices, and enhance the competitiveness of goods. This will promote production and business activities, driving socio-economic development.
Agricultural exports have reached 2/3 of the 2024 target, totaling over $46 billion. In addition to the U.S. and European markets, the Asian market is increasingly important to Vietnamese enterprises. Their products are steadily gaining a foothold in this region.
Specializing in exporting coffee to Europe, this enterprise has observed a growing demand for coffee in Asia, where consumers prefer Vietnamese products. Consequently, it has started seeking partners in the Asian market over the past 2 years.
The East Asian market is more discerning, while Southeast Asia has greater financial resources. South Korea and Taiwan, China are strong consumers of Vietnamese goods.
Coffee, seafood, and fruits are increasingly gaining the trust of Asian consumers. Alongside China, which holds a significant market share for Vietnamese agricultural products, Japan and South Korea also show strong demand for Vietnam's tropical fruits and vegetables. In the first 9 months of 2024, the export value of agricultural products to Asia rose by 17.4% year-on-year.
Asia is a promising market for Vietnamese seafood, offering lower transportation costs, shorter logistic times, and favorable capital turnover.
This region has a large population and high incomes, making it ready to consume Vietnamese fruits and vegetables. The challenge is ensuring quality and meeting consumer preferences.
According to the Vietnam Fruit and Vegetable Association, Northeast Asian countries like China, South Korea, and Japan account for 80% of Vietnam's fruit and vegetable export turnover.
To fulfill the government's goal of eliminating temporary and dilapidated houses nationwide by 2025, the Ministry of Public Security has been one of the pioneering units that provide support for poor households across the country. Nearly 1,300 new houses have been provided for poor families and disadvantaged people in Phuoc Hung Commune, Cha Vinh Province. The inauguration and handover ceremony was held by the Ministry of Public Security and Cha Vinh authorities on Tuesday.
Since the beginning of this year, Tra Vinh authorities have provided financial and material support for poor families. Nearly 3,550 new houses have been built to help poor residents improve their living conditions.
I don't have to live in poor conditions now. I'm very happy to live in a new house. Since 2021, we have built new houses to replace dilapidated ones for poor residents, regardless of whether they are entitled to preferential policies or not. We have built 6,000 new houses so far.
The Ministry of Public Security has raised over 28 million USD nationwide for repairing and building houses. After 2 months, about 1,300 new houses were completed and handed over to people in need in Tra Vinh province.
The government's program on the elimination of temporary and dilapidated houses is very meaningful and inspiring. We'll try our best to fulfill the government's order.
Minister of Public Security Lung Tam Quang recognized and applauded the achievements of local police in accelerating the elimination of temporary and dilapidated houses in Tra Vinh province.
Hanoi's Liberation Day is a pivotal moment in Vietnam's history, symbolizing the country's triumph over French colonialism and marking the beginning of a new era for the capital city. 70 years have passed. Veterans and Hanoians who lived through wartime still remember the historic moments when locals pour into the streets around Hoàn Kiếm Lake to greet the victorious Vietnamese troops.
This footage captures the reenactment of Vietnamese soldiers returning to the capital city on October 10, 1954. After the victory of the Dien Bien Phu battle in May, 5 months later, Hanoi was free from French occupation forces, marking an important milestone in Vietnam's 9-year war of resistance for independence. Dung Tut Minh recalled unforgettable memories when Hanoi's streets brightened from the colorful flowers and national flags used to welcome the Vietnamese troops.
Hanoians were very happy to welcome the Vietnamese troops on October 10th. French troops were forced to retreat. We no longer lived under French colonial rule. That was the happiest moment of my life.
Chi Minh said we would march into Hanoi to take over the capital from the French forces. It was my great honor to be a part of the Vietnamese troops entering the capital city after 60 days of fierce fighting.
French troops fired artillery shells from warships in the Red River in 1882, leaving gaping holes in the citadel's north gate. This place was also where the first flag salute ceremony was held on October 10, 1954, after Hanoi was liberated from French colonialism.
After the siren sounded, we looked up at the citadel's north gate in happiness while admiring the national flag. How wonderful it was. For many years, we had seen the French flag everywhere in the city.
The war ended, marking 2 implications. The Vietnamese troops won on the battlefield, and Hanoians reclaimed their capital city. The October victory is a symbol of the Vietnamese people's victory in the 9-year resistance war against the French colonialists. The victory also fulfilled the Vietnamese people's strong desire for peace, freedom, and independence for nearly a century.
70 years ago, the arrival of Vietnamese soldiers filled local people with joy and happiness. Thousands of Hanoians poured into the streets to greet the victorious military forces. They were proud to be descendants of a revolutionary generation.
Coming up next in our world news, Gazans yearn for a return to normality. And Britain records the highest number of illegal migrants in Europe. Now moving on to our world news. 1 year has passed since the war in Gaza began on October 7, 2023. Events in the Middle East have spiraled out of control, while thousands of Palestinian civilians, including women and children, have been killed. Obstacles to peace in Gaza seems larger than ever.
Palestinians said they yearn for a return to normality, a year into the war in Gaza, which has turned wide areas of the enclave into wasteland. As residents of Khan Yunis went about their daily lives among the leveled houses and streets, one displaced man said that life in Gaza has become uninhabitable.
As you can see, after living on the second, third and fourth floors, we are now on the ground. After water was flowing to the door of our house. Now, as you can see, we go out at 6 a.m. to bring 5 water containers and send them to our family. You can see the destruction. This, for example, is my father's house. This is my son's house. Over there behind me is my son's house, and further over there is my house.
Today marks a year since the war. Of course, we know about displacement to displacement and from one catastrophe to another. The situation is very tough. Everything in life is expensive. We wish to return to life before October 7th. I don't remember making a normal breakfast like others. Always quick, everything in our life is done very quickly. I don't know for how long this situation will last.
Gaza has become an uninhabitable place, an unfit place to live safely at the very least, due to the destruction of everything on this land after everything in it was targeted, including stones, trees, children, men, women, and even agricultural lands and water wells.
The war was triggered when militant Palestinian group Hamas attacked southern Israel on October 7th. Israel's subsequent attacks on Gaza have killed nearly 42,000 Palestinians, according to Gaza's health ministry, and displaced nearly all of the enclave's population of 2.3 million.
Britain is home to more illegal migrants than any other European nation. There are up to 745,000 illegal migrants in the UK, accounting for 1 in 100 of the population, according to the research led by Oxford University experts. This is more than double the 300,000 in France and ahead even the upper estimate of 700,000 in Germany. The figures were disclosed as the Home Office said 973 migrants in 17 small boats crossed the English Channel on Saturday, the biggest daily number this year. The up to 745,000 people estimated to have come to Britain illegally include foreign arrivals who have overstayed their visas, failed asylum seekers who have disappeared, and some migrants who have crossed the channel in small boats. Since the beginning of this year, nearly 27,000 refugees have arrived in the UK, an increase of 5% compared to the same period last year. Some 200 people may have been buried after a landslide occurred in a port area of Manacapuru, Brazil's Amazonas state, according to official sources. Although the area was under construction, the port continued to operate as a key transportation point. It is estimated that over 200 people were loading and unloading goods at the site when the accident occurred. Initial reports confirmed that an entire family on a floating boat was buried. Local authorities said that landslide could be related to riverbank erosion, which has been worsened up by the severe drought affecting the Amazon region. Rescue efforts have been underway. Now, as usual, let's move on to our weather forecast. And that's all the news we have for this hour. To rewatch our program, you can download our mobile app VTVgo or check out our YouTube channel, VTV4Go. Thank you for watching and see you next time.